So after 12 weeks, Drew, obviously we have Lamar Jackson playing really well, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, probably some others I'm missing off this list. But is there somebody in your opinion that is the MVP up to this point? And if so, who is that player?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know what? Lamar Jackson's had a really great year. Josh Allen, obviously, Jared Goff. But if I'm being perfectly honest, the guy that I think right now is my front runner is the guy who just had an amazing game last night, and that was Saquon Barkley. I would actually go Barkley because I know basically it's a quarterback. It's a quarterback award, but like Goff has had a great year. Jackson's had a great year. Allen has had a great year. And I don't think there's a question about those, but I don't think they've been like above and beyond where Saquon went from a crappy team. He goes on to a really good team. A lot of people are like, okay, he's going to be good. And then we're seeing all this stuff and you're like, oh, he's really good.
Right.
Like, oh, shoot, we're in trouble type stuff. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I think Saquon has been the number one running back. Like, yeah, Derrick Henry has been really good. I think Saquon's been that much better.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. I think Josh Allen ultimately is going to walk away with the MVP. I think the stats, the way that he's been able to protect the ball, if the Bills continue to be a very good AFC team, storylines in the NFL just lead to that quarterback is probably going to get the MVP. And I think Josh Allen will probably be awarded the MVP. But there's two things, though, that I think I have to stress is sometimes the most valuable player award gets lost in what it actually means, in my opinion. Most valuable player means that, like, if this player was not on this team, how bad would this team be? You know, like, clearly that this player holds this much value to where they're remaining competitive. Really, the only reason why this team is even in a discussion of possibly winning is because of XYZ player. Saquon Barkley is that one to me as well. I think Saquon Barkley needs to be in this conversation for that same factor. Derrick Henry has been great, but the fact that Lamar Jackson is kind of also playing a factor into, you know, how well it's been and all this other stuff, I think is another conversation as well. Like that could be why Derrick Henry is successful. Joe Burrow statistically is having an MVP type season. The win-loss record just doesn't reflect that. But if you were to take Joe Burrow off the Bengals, how bad of a team would they be? They'd be worse than the Raiders, in my opinion. They would be pretty awful. Now, Saquon Barkley, though, you added him to that team, essentially the same roster from last year. Really not a lot of difference, but you put in Saquon Barkley, and that's how much better the Eagles look. The last running back to win MVP, 2012, with Adrian Peterson and the Minnesota Vikings. So it's possible. But if there was one other player that just shows immense value, it would be Saquon Barkley. I ultimately think Josh Allen, though, will walk away with it just because of it's a quarterback award nowadays. But Saquon, I think, should be thought of and maybe even favored just because of how the Eagles look with him in that lineup. Like, Drew Coat Sports Talk is powered by StreamYard. Want to take your podcast to the next level? Use StreamYard. It's the easiest way to record, stream, or produce high-quality episodes, whether you're solo or with guests. Plus, when you sign up today, you'll get a $10 credit to get started. Use the link in our bio. Don't miss out. StreamYard is your key to seamless podcasting. Stupid crazy, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree, and sorry, I don't know if you can hear my updates going off right now. It's fantasy football. Sorry, Justin Herbert just scored a touchdown.
You need to turn your notifications off during showtime, sir.
Well, I didn't know, but I'm very sorry. Anyway, and I have like multiple shares of Charger players, so I'm getting like 4 of them at a time. Sweet. Anyway, but yeah, It's hard for me to say. I'm with you. I think Josh Allen is probably going to be the guy because I don't think anyone thought he was going to have still this great of a year. without, Stephon Diggs and all that. And now he's
Mhm.
proving it. I think Lamar Jackson is having a great year, but you could make the argument, okay, but that play is being opened by Derrick Henry a little bit.
Right.
So you can make that argument. And honestly, Saquon, I mean, could have made Jalen Hurts the number one guy, but Saquon is just having such a great year. It's just like, Jalen, just throw like 20 times and you're good.
Yeah.
We're just going to hand it off. And so, honestly, I really like what Colin Cowherd brought up today. He kind of said, like, the Giants were saying, oh, we don't want to pay a running back, or we don't want to pay a quarterback, $40 million to hand it off to a $12 million or $22 million running back. And it was like, well, the Eagles are doing that. They're paying their quarterback $51 million to a $22 million running back, and it seems to be working out. So, and so I was like, it's a really good point. Maybe you're overthinking it a little bit. So,
well, here's the irony of it. The New York Giants would probably be, I would say in the camp of like a 500 team, because if Barkley stays on that team, you still have Daniel Jones. That offensive line is not that bad. And you have Malik Neighbors, who is, by all accounts, going to be an all-pro receiver, number one type guy. And he is a phenomenal player. You had a three-headed horse with a pretty decent running back, or pretty decent offensive line. And because you didn't want to overpay in certain areas that are actually highly regarded, now look at the state of the team that you have. You've got to start all over again. And there's truthfully not that kind of talent floating by. It's not like you're going to pick up another Saquon Barkley, just in the draft immediately. There's a reason why Barkley is so unique.
Yeah.